Okay, everybody, here I am for more fun and games. Let's wait for some people to get in here. And if you can let me know if you can hear me, I'd appreciate that. So, anyway, let's. All right, thanks. Let's talk about a few things. So, you know what? Where do you want to begin? Let me say this real quick. I know just once in a while, maybe a little more than that. I get a little bent out of shape, but on my video blogs. But I honestly can't stand the twisting of the truth. And I'm not talking. This is not political. I'm talking about the Confederacy of Dunces here. How they twist things. I mean, you want to talk about twisting things? Okay. They, instead of referring to the market as being overvalued, their term is, well, it's overinvested. Why can't they just say overvalued? They have to, you see, by saying overinvested, it kind of shifts the blame. Think of the terminology here, and this is what it really drives me out of my mind. Instead of name one of the Confederacy of Dunces, especially CNBC, they can't tell you, they can't come out and say, hey, everybody, the stock market is overvalued. It might be time for you to take some profits. A lot of issues. They can't say that. They have to say the market is overinvested because it kind of puts, again, a connotation on it that, well, it's not the stock market's fault, or it's not their fault that people, you, me, and everybody else, is throwing their cash into this market. So it's overinvested. This is, again, what bothers me and why I can't stand any of this stuff anymore. You're welcome, Jeffrey. But it's the truth. It drives me out of my ever-loving freaking mind. I can't stand it. And I believe sincerely, all of you here, you guys and girls that are here right now are extra special to me because you're here. I love seeing all of you here. It's awesome. And I think you get it. Look, what we are witnessing, and this is something I've taken heat for, but I don't really care because I believe it's true. I believe that we are witnessing a natural selection here. And I've been saying this for years. If you've been with me a while, you know what I'm talking about. Look, there are certain types of people in this world that are especially here in the United States, that have become so dumbed down. It's actually not their fault. You have to look, let's put that into a perspective. Look what they're dealing with. They are getting fist fed every single day from the mainstream media, from the mainstream financial channels that, this is really great. Everything is perfect. Now, let me put another perspective on that for you yet again. This is the same stuff, the same information, almost verbatim, that has been spewed out of the mouths from the mainstream media outlets, from the Confederacy of Dunces, which have existed since time immemorial, at the top of every single bubble. Now, I'm not saying that we are here now. This market, look, it's so fake. It is so fake that I am not trading on any kind of reality. When I'm placing trades here, and you can go see my trades right now, I actually added another one right before the closing bell, Johnson & Johnson. But if you go to my website, traderschoice.net, on the left side, you can see my open credit spreads. But, look, it's just crazy. I'm just saying, okay, what do I believe they're going to do? What do I think they're going to do? I'm not really, am I looking at technical charts? Of course I am. I'm trying to make some sense of it, but it doesn't matter anymore. For example, last night, the Chinese stock market, over 4% gain on, like I covered earlier, not on great earnings, not on fundamental factors, not on anything that has a basis of reality. But why did they go up? Because their leaders are saying, oh, don't worry about it. We got your back. So boom, 4% hike in the stock market. It's in their stock market. And then today, our market tried to follow their lead. Did you see how this day played out? It's insane. So what we have here is a completely 100 freaking % managed market. that will go wherever, I guess, um, central bankers with who are now sleeping, and I mean sleeping, not just sleeping, with their respective world leaders. They're all doing the same thing. They are all doing the same thing at the same time. It's like they must have a conference call every day. All the world leaders, they get together on maybe on something like this, and they sit there and they have a, I was gonna say something like circle j. They have a big circle j. I don't want to say that word in case there are some young ones out here, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Jerk. I think that's what's going on here, uh, and they're all doing this at the same time. Oh yeah, oh it's just a coincidence that every world leader and every world central bank is doing the exact same things, except for China. All right, China is a whole other ball game where I could spend probably days just talking about it. I mean, look, does anybody out here believe that their military buildup is just for fun? Does anybody out here believe that this is just a rumor that they want to circumvent the petrodollar? Of course not. Of course not. Still almost a radio silence. In fact, I think it is a radio silence since China started yanking on the bond market chain. They're the second largest holder of debt here in the world, our debt, other than the Federal freaking Reserve. So you're not going to hear that anyway. And you're going to, this whole thing with Saudi Arabia, I mean, I got bombarded with comments and questions earlier today. Look, this whole thing here with this dude that, they murdered him by accident. They were going to admit it, but now, it wasn't really rogue agents. Turns out that it's some other people. I have no idea where they came from that got rid of this dude. It's all a big story. They're hoping to brush it under here because we need to sell arms. It's all about arms. It's all $100 and something billion last year alone to the Saudis. And then we of course, we have the petrodollar. Now, China would love to step in here. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if I were the leader of China, let me tell you something. That's what I'd be looking to do. There's no doubt about it. And I'd be willing to bet that most of you would do the same thing. China is rising. They are not falling like you're being led to believe here by this trade war that is unwinnable. Again, there's degrees of losing here, and that's a fact. It's gonna get really, really ugly at one particular time. We haven't even seen anything yet, but wait for the stories to get floated out there. Oh yeah, don't you know that there's going to be some talks in the works, maybe even tomorrow, and stocks are going to go up on that. But then we're going to find out a few days, which just literally happened. And I said to you all that story was fake when it came out. Unfreaking believable. All right, let's see, my lovely friends. I know I've been shooting off my mouth here. Let's see what we got. Why do we arm? Why do we arm other countries? Why do you think we arm other countries? It's pretty straightforward here. It's a mechanism. It's the military-industrial complex. There's all the talk about deep state. I want to laugh or throw up when I hear about the deep state. I think this is some kind of a conjured-up thing here. It's the military-industrial complex, which now is called the deep state. Okay, because it's a new catchphrase. Catchphrases win elections. Catchphrases kind of twist people's brains, but this is nothing new. This has been around since time immemorial in a different form with a different name, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. You know why? Because there are very few people like you and I. You and I get it. You and I understand it. But there are so many out here that are brainwashed that will fall into this whole thing. They are being taken advantage of, and that's what this is all about. This whole look, the world we live in is not what it seems. The leaders are not who they seem to be. It is definitely, absolutely, 100% being run by a shadow government. And who is that? It's the Wall Street banks, the corporations. This is the United States of corporate America. The America that you and I have been in the fairy tale, that unfortunately disappeared a long time ago. And when the Federal Reserve would not allow the markets to do their one and only job, you know what that is, to determine fair value. The 2008 event was literally like a coup in many, many ways. The markets were taken over by world central banks, all right, everywhere. Now That was what they were waiting for, what they've set up here. Now, the next stage of this is going to be the kicker. So the last time was the setup here for what is coming. Look, did one high-level executive, even one on Wall Street, get locked up, end up in handcuffs or anything else? Absolutely not, not one. That should tell you something here, okay? Now, again, what did they do? Thank you, Bruce. They decided, hey, let's reinflate these bubbles. Let's manage the market. Let's get every single person that they can to throw their cash into the stock market. Let's have all the world leaders tell them how great our economy is. This is supposed to be a global recovery. I think you'll realize that. It's all you hear about on the financial channels, on the mainstream news from our president. This is a really great economy. Well, what do people do when they hear this kind of stuff? They believe their job's secure. They go out, they take out loans, they borrow against their house, whatever they got to do. And then all of a sudden, they pull the plug. This time is going to be it. The middle class will be erased. And that's what the setup is. It's been this way for a long, long time. I believe that world leaders, all of them, understand what's going on here. They know who their masters are, okay? It's clear here in the United States, China's our master. Saudi Arabia, because of the petrodollar, because we got to sell our arms to them because, again, it's the military-industrial complex at work. The amount of cash that is made by selling arms to people around the world is epic. Epic. And this is just what we know about here. Is this really what we should be doing? I think President Trump played it up that, we need to keep selling arms to Saudi Arabia because it's going to protect American jobs. Are you high? What are you shooting, snorting, smoking, or stuffing up your rear end? I have no idea. But is that what this is all about here? That's how it's going to be sold to the American people, that we need to continue to sell arms to the Middle East because it'll protect American jobs. And people buy it. They sit there like lemmings. I mean, I'm sorry about that. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But is it the truth? Is this really the truth? What am I saying here that doesn't make sense to any of you that are sitting here? I guarantee you it does. Oh, I tell you, people. I'm kind of a mutt. I see here he's Italian. I'm a kind of a mix of things. As a matter of fact, I found out I didn't do one of these DNA tests, but my mom did, my dad did, and I'm like all kinds of things that I never knew. Growing up, I was told that I was Italian and French. My grandfather looked like a Frenchman. My dad looks like a kind of mafiosi. So I kind of thought that's what I was, but it turns out that I am really a mutt, big time. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm not going to do a DNA test. I heard about these. And, like I said, my parents did it. And, of course, they sent me, hey, Greg, guess what you are? You're this, and 25 other things. Okay, whatever. Exactly. Everyone is mixed nowadays. And who really cares anyway? They do DNA tests on dogs. Did you know that? I brought my dog to the vet. I have 2 dogs. And I asked the vet, no one knows what these dogs are. They're from the shelter, so they're like mystery dogs. So I said, what kind of dog is this? What do you think it is? And she's like, well, it could be this and it could be that. Hey, you know what? We could do a DNA test on this dog and we'll find out what the dog is. Look, it's a dog. And I love the darn things. So I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. All right, enough about dogs here. Let me see. I'm having a little problem here again with my stupid chat. I don't know what's wrong with this thing. Doggy DNA. Isn't it crazy? Yeah, that's true. We are all brothers and sisters. You know what? Look, let me ask all of you out here, all of my favorites that I love so much. It's truth. When are we going to stop allowing world leaders, politicians to keep us divided by everything that you can think about and things that we can't even imagine yet? It's the same story throughout history. It's divide and conquer. Every Friday, I leave you off with my three things, love each other, care for each other, and be charitable. Why can't we all adopt that? Why are we, we're kept polarized for a reason. Again, it keeps people distracted. It puts us at odds with each other. Oh, I can't talk to him because of that reason. I can't talk to her because this. And then people get absorbed in this. And they follow along and they get strung along. They don't use their own intellect to kind of put things together. It's a pathetic thing. It's absolutely pathetic to me. Look, I love everybody before I even meet them. That's the truth. That's until this whoever I meet proves to me that they're a POS for whatever reason. I will make it my business to at least like this person, give that person the benefit of the doubt. But not here in America, where we have the most dumbed down public in the history of the world. And it's not their fault. Again, they're being brainwashed. And I mean this, brainwashed on a grand scale. There's obviously something else going on here. It is freaking pathetic. You're all allowed to use my lines. You know that, right? All the lines I use, off the Richter scale and freaking and stuff. Please share this stuff. Get it out there. You're part of my team. So let's make it work, sincerely. All right. You don't have a TV. Good for you. Good for you. Because that thing down there, you want to laugh? I only have one TV. One. That's all I want is one TV. I know people have TVs in every room. Why? So you can be brainwashed in every room of your freaking house? No, I don't want to do that. Absolutely not. All right. Let's see here. How much silver should we stack? I get this question all the time. I got to move. Look, with regard to betting against the debt and becoming your own central bank, as a rule of thumb, I would suggest, and this is a very personal thing. I know people who have a lot less than this and people who have a lot more than this. 20%, I know that might sound crazy to a lot of people out here, but I think 20% having a physical hard asset, and again, these are not trades, you're holding them. You're holding it in your hands here. You're not trading paper. I don't even trade the paper markets. They're unbelievably rigged. You all know that. Bank after bank after bank after bank after bank gets caught doing it. They're all getting caught rigging it. Did you hear about this one? I think I spoke about it recently. Deutsche Bank. No. Yeah, Deutsche Bank. They're prosecuting two low-level traders for rigging LIBOR. Are you kidding me? Are you trying to tell me that no manager knew about this? Of course not. Oh, it has to be brushed under. Unfreaking believable. Absolutely. Kitco I never used. AppMax I've used. A lot of stuff that I've acquired over time. I'll just walk into one of these pawn shops. They got it. And there's one very reputable place out here that I like to use too. I'll go in there and I'll buy the stuff, but don't be careful if you do that. Let me say this. If you go into a silver dealer or a gold dealer and they're trying to sell you big bricks of it, be careful with that. I would suggest buying in smaller denominations anyway, just to keep around. Just because there's less faking, I think will go on. And a lot of these big bars, a lot have been proven to be fake or being faked. I don't know how they do it, but they do something to them. So just be careful with all that stuff. It's very true. Okay, let's see. Gold, silver. Thanks, man. Look, I try to keep it real, and maybe that's why I go off the deep end sometimes. I really do. Look, I'm sorry for that. I really apologize. But like today in the last video I did, I know I went off the deep end, and after I did the whole thing, I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to get hate mail. That there's not a day, not one day that goes by that I don't get a whole bunch of hate mail, and some of it is very bad. I've actually had to report a couple of the messages I've got. I've gotten death threats. People don't want to hear it. When people get stuck in whatever paradigm they're in, if you mess with it, I know that's none of you. All of you seem very open-minded. But if you mess with these people's way of thinking, they get mad. They get angry. And what do? They lash out. They lash out. They lash out. They don't want to hear it. They want to believe that there's some other thing going on here and everything is just great. They don't want to look underneath the hood, so to speak. They don't want to put the time in required to try to really make sense of what's going on. Sleep naked. Awesome. Awesome. I trade naked, and I don't mean with no clothes on. I mean naked puts and naked calls. I'm not covered. This is kind of a trader's joke. Anyway. And let's see here. I don't know about an ice age or anything like that. I'll be honest with you, people. Do I believe that the climate is changing? Yeah, I do. I believe it's probably a natural condition of the planet, which is being helped along by people that don't care about the environment. I happen to care about our environment, but that's a whole other thing. I'm going to get into that one. And I know none of you will do it, but other people that watch this video when it comes out after it's not live, I am going to get crucified with hate mail and hate this. And there's a lot of haters out here. There's a lot of freaking haters out here. Why do they hate? Hey, let me ask all of you, why do haters hate? Is it because they hate themselves? Self-hatred? That may be the truth. I have no idea. I am definitely not the best, but I appreciate you saying that. I'm just a guy wearing this button-down shirt, talking to all of you. You guys and girls are the best. I don't know what's wrong with me, but something. All right, we're going to do a couple more of these things here. Puppies, all puppies. I love puppies. I love dogs. I love animals. You all know that. They need someone to, I am wearing pants. I'm not going to stand up because I've been doing that, but I swear to you that I'm wearing pants. I promise you I'm wearing pants. All right, look here. Pants. You see? I'm too lazy to get up, but I am wearing pants. Oh, God. So sick. Yes, you are an expert on the bond market. And if you watch my stuff, there's nobody out here. All of you, if you follow my work, there's nobody better than you are with regard to understanding the bond market, understanding the dollar, their relationship to each other and how it affects the stock market. There's nobody, because I talk about it all the time. Everyone is sitting there focused. The Dow, and you got the cod. The Dow, look at the Dow. Oh, no. Don't look at the other indices that might have finished in the negative. No. Only look at the Dow. 30 companies, the biggest in the world. I'll give you that. But don't worry about the thousands of others. It's all about the Dow. Doesn't that make you want to puke? That makes me want to puke. And that's why I get so angry sometimes. Do I like my electric car? I love my electric car. I love it. I swear to you, I'm not kidding. Just plug that darn thing in and just drive around. It's a lot of fun. It really is here. Interest rates. Let's talk about interest rates. I think that's a great question here. Look, the bond market is, as all of you know, the largest market of them all. Now, when I'm talking about the bond market, I'm referring to the debt market as a whole. It's in a bubble that I cannot even get my head around. Nobody can, because if you when we talk about the debt here, all right, let's put that into perspective a little bit. What are we in? 22 trillion that they're letting us know about here in the United States. We know it's way more than that. Then, of course, as always, you have the derivatives of. So this thing is probably in the quadrillions. We have no idea. But with regard to interest rates here, there's going to be a lot of effort to keep bond yields where they are. This is the Federal Reserve doing this. Quantitative easing has never stopped. Never stopped. The Federal Reserve has no magical power at all. They have to get cash printed out of thin air, added to a digital screen, and buy bonds. That's how they keep rates suppressed. Could you only imagine? And I swear to you, I'm not smart enough to know this. I don't think anyone on the planet is smart enough to know what I'm about to say. Maybe all you guys and girls are, but it's not me. If the Federal Reserve were not artificially suppressing interest rates right now, what would be the actual value of the debt that can never be paid back? What would we have to offer to people to hold the debt? Would it be roughly 3% to hold it for 10 years? You got to be high, smoking something pretty strong. No one's that smart, but there lies the issue. At one time, I don't care what they do in the short run. I mean, last meltdown, 2008, we got 10 years here. This is the short run for the most part. But there's going to be a moment when this debt market says, hold on a minute, enough is enough. And then we're going to get a run for the hills here. There will be a massive sell-off in the bond market that the Federal Reserve and all world central banks are not going to be able to plug up. They're not, and you're going to see rates spike very rapidly. Don't listen to Greg Mannarino on this. I mean, I've been saying it here probably before a lot of other people, but you got these multi-billionaire hedge fund managers. You got old Fed presidents saying the same thing. It's the truth. That's what's going to happen. It's a bubble, and every effort imaginable is continuing to keep rates suppressed. At one point, it's not going to work anymore. And let me say this too. You got the Federal Reserve, which is, keeping their foot to the floor here. President Trump wants this to happen. Now, Candidate Trump thundered away at this. He said rates were being kept artificially suppressed under Obama to make him look good, to push up the stock market. You remember all that? I still remember that because I was like, yeah, cheer. I was all for it. A little bit different now, don't you think? Okay, it's pretty sad, but that's the case that we're in now. But the Federal Reserve is so far behind the curve, and they're behind the curve for a reason. They never had an exit plan. Never, ever. They still don't have one. You understand? There's no exit plan. You can't fix this environment. It's fake. You can't go from a fake environment to a real one without financial carnage. Now, understand, there are a lot of people out here who don't even have the slightest clue of what they mean when they're saying, oh, we're going to need a reset. Oh, this is going to have a reset. A reset. Let's see, people. What would that mean if we had a reset? This is not just a financial issue. It's not just a financial problem. We have pulled resources from the future to sustain where we are. If we're unable to do that, we are going to see a loss of life on a biblical scale. This is the truth. And believe me, our governments are ready for what's coming down the pike here. They know what's coming down the pike here. A reset means a lot of people are going to lose their lives. And it just seems like they want to keep the pedal to the floor with regard to the Federal Reserve until we hit the wall at hypersonic speed. I don't want to hit that wall at hypersonic speed. I want the Fed to at least attempt to let air out of this bubble a little bit at a time, because right now they're not letting anything out. And with our president here, trying to get the Fed to not do it, the Fed's not going to listen. Understand? The Fed is not going to listen. This is dog shit. You understand? What President Trump is saying and what's coming out of them, believe me, they talk every day. Powell and Trump probably laughing each other. As we're doing this, they're probably laughing or talking dirty to each other on the phone, more than likely. That's probably what they're doing. So anyway, believe me, things are not what they seem at all. And this is a mechanism to wipe out the middle class. I still believe people, you and I, have a choice as to where we want to end up here. This is simply a mechanism on a global scale to erase the middle class, end up in a two-tier society like we had for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The middle class is kind of a new creation. And the middle class is the one that always pays for the brunt of what's going on here. You and I. Well, we bailed out Wall Street, don't you remember? You remember all the signs in the street, Occupy Wall Street, we're never going to bail out Wall Street, no way, never going to happen, blah, blah. Oh, really? Guess what? Yeah, you bailed out Wall Street. Like that wasn't a setup too. And like I said, no bank, know anyone got in trouble. Yeah, they're all laughing at us, and that's very, very sad here. But you know what? There are some of us, like you, that are here right now. We're not fools. We understand what's going on. We can use our own intellect to make up our own minds as to what's going on here. We don't need some entity out here with no real name. I think you know who I'm talking about here, with no accountability, trying to tell us all that there's something going on here that you're not allowed to know about. But look, you got to be kidding me. You really got to be freaking kidding me. This is supposed here in the United States. This is supposed to be our government. That's how this whole country came about. Of the people, by the people, for the people. But that can't happen. Do you know why? Because there are some out here that can't even walk and chew gum at the same time. They got to sit here and they got to rely on some, again, someone with no accountability, with no name. So, they're just some kind of entity. You got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding me. But this is nothing new. It's the same story throughout history as well. People fall into this, and it's because they are just they've been dumbed down. They can't think anymore. All right, look, I've been out here for half an hour. I promise to do this again soon. I'm going to do one more question here, and then I'm going to call it, but I'll see you in the morning. And I'm going to, like I said, I'll try to do these. Maybe I'll do another one of these on Thursday, and we'll have even more fun. All right, let's see. One more here. In the next collapse, what could be the next big short? Well, this is what I would do, and this is what I am planning on doing, and what I've been trying to do and explain to people for a very, very long time. It's pretty easy to understand how this is going to work. What do we know? Let's put together what we know, all right? What we know for a fact is the world is in a debt bubble of a magnitude that is beyond, okay? We have a stock market that has been bubble that is being reinflated on the back of the debt bubble. We have housing that is being reinflated on the back of that bubble. So what we're trying to get at here is, except for housing, really, but this is a risk-on environment. Risk. Bubbles keep inflating. This is going to reverse. We're going to go from risk on, like we're seeing now, to risk off. Now, how do we know? Again, these are things that we know, that this is going to take place at one time. Well, it's nothing new. We see it over and over and over and over again. This is not any different than any time before. So we need to be acquiring assets now where cash will be moving into when this entire thing reverses. Can you trade this market as it's going down? Sure you can, but expect it to drop, bounce, drop, bounce, drop, bounce, just like every other time. You might get some very hard sell-offs, then we'll get a bounce and then a drop. I intend to take advantage of that at one particular time, but what I am not doing is looking at the stock market to find out when that's going to happen. I am looking at the bond market, because there is where the big trouble is going to be. The stock market moves around. You get sell-offs followed by another sell-off and then a bounce. But keep in mind, as long as they are able to keep bond yields where they are here in the United States, investors almost have nowhere else to go. And this is a global phenomenon. So we're seeing cash move into risk assets. When the bond market lets go, when they cannot suppress rates, when we see a sell-off, for example, remember we had the 10-year yield 3.24. This was China selling bonds, shorting them at the same time, okay? Pulling the strings. They wanted Trump and Pence to shut their mouths with regard to talking about pushing more tariffs. China said, shut up. And they did. Radio silence. Kind of an amazing concept to see right unfold before your eyes. Well, so now the bond market is normalizing. But again, What we do know about bubbles is they will stay suspended for a very, very long time, and an enormous amount of effort is going on right now to keep the bond market stable. Okay, I covered this a lot on my Sunday video when I did Markets or Look Ahead. But there's going to be a point where no amount of buying from central banks is going to be able to stop the bleeding. So again, you know where to look. If you want to look in one spot, it's the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield. When you see that start getting out of control, that's when the stock market is really going to take a wallop. People, you know how I feel. I love all of you, and I mean this from my heart. You're all my favorites over here. Thank you for being here. We will do this again soon. Like I said, I'm going to shoot for Thursday for another live session. We'll talk a little bit more. But I'll see you in the morning, and we're going to watch this crazy market. And you know what it's going to be? Lovely. I will see you in the morning. Over now.